One of my concerns is that Mr. Brown has been lobbying for some of the very corporations that are being sued and investigated by the Attorney General's office, such as representing Facebook since 2017, which is part of the social media litigation, and also having received money from the tobacco lobby when the Attorney General's office is the one administering the settlement proceeds from the tobacco settlements.
What she said isn't entirely accurate. I don't still represent them, so there is no conflict, and she, of course, knows that. She's hoping, frankly, that you don't know that. But the reality is, I did really good legal work for some of the largest companies that operate here in the state of Utah, dealing with one of the most critical issues we have, which is social media. And in fact, the governor and the legislators who've been pushing and advocating to hold them accountable have all endorsed me in this race. So if there's some sort of conflict, it's not something that they're obviously concerned with, because there isn't.
And it's important that the public understands that when he was representing Facebook, he wasn't representing the children of Utah.
So a couple of years ago, the governor made a statement, a very public statement. He said, look, we've got an issue. We got to solve this issue. Social media is absolutely an issue with our kids. And out of 8,000 lawyers in the state of Utah, Meta hired me. And what I did is I went to them and said, listen, I'm going to tell you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear, because that's what a good lawyer does, is you tell people what they need to hear. And so I brought them to the table. We worked with legislators. We worked with the governor's office. We worked with constitutional experts to create a series of bills that gave parents the tools that they needed to actually help with their kids on social media. So I'm proud of the work that we did. I mean, obviously, I have an opponent who's trying to make an issue of it, but I don't currently represent them. So this idea that there's some sort of conflict, it doesn't quite understand the way things work in the real world. The reality is we created a system of laws here in Utah that are the first in the country. They're groundbreaking. I'm proud of the work we did. And in fact, not only the governor who went after social media companies, but the legislators who did as well, all have endorsed me in this race.
So there's a couple of things. If you look at his lobbyist disclosures, they identify him as lobbying for Facebook, not being an attorney. When you're an attorney, you don't disclose legal work on your lobbying disclosures because they are very different. And the other thing that's really important to know is when you're an attorney, conflicts of interest continue. You can't just turn them off by saying, I don't represent them anymore. They continue indefinitely. So once I've represented a client as an attorney, I can't now take a contrary position to that client just because I have terminated representation. That's in the rules of ethics. It's in the rules of professional conduct. Every lawyer in the country knows that that's how conflicts work. And so that's a genuine concern to me, is that you can have a person who's leading an office who's one of the big cases that they're handling is social media and attacking, and addressing the harms of social media, when a person was representing social media companies for 6 years prior to taking office. And that's a legitimate concern and a conflict that I think the public need to be aware of, and dismissing it so haphazardly undermines the actual conflict that exists.